All kinds of quiet. Throw bolts to the wind and butter my shoulders. Do not make me come over there. It is dangerous to chew string or to bite cotton instead of taking scissors to it, for if swallowed, string or cotton might wind round your heart and kill you. Fishing wire wrapped against peach bruise heavy collapsing firmaments, a distressing lack of totems, boats, umbrellas, wrong suit, wrong tie, wrong elbow, wrong mouth, wrong wrench. Pleasantries and other misdemeanors or notes to a marriage. Impulse heavy, pret politesse. It might just be that I love you unscathed, despite of, instead of. Thick, heavy writes praises, and blue-gray eye blink, lip twist, and silly owl. An eye expands to fit a circle. The bone in my head quivers. Dear darling, I woke this morning and my fat finger bone was stuck in the wall. Dear darling, tonight I cluck my tongue and serrate the air, surrendered pitches. Dear darling, a wife's duties incurs penalties. Blinkered and broke, we compose alone. I sleep, i.e. dream perchance, but not dip my toes in lead and roll the baby toe forward. Scent the meadow with lavender and trip my way forward. Devil may care is what they say, or else they'll say nothing. Will pennant a church hall make paper flowers? I'll trip on my train and then fall down hills. Is that all right then? Can I fall down hills without dispensations, without pressures, without delusions of languor? I feel dried upon, flaked upon, flecked, impignated, impinged upon. Sweet neck, a nuzzle down, a bore down a bearing, a monogrammed blanket. I devalue, ask permissions, make and unafford. My stories detach themselves and we center risk. We centralize and compensate each other. We comfort and command. We describe each other to relatives, each trick and feckle. I learn the names for our ancestors and then reframe them as childhood, as juvenilia, as progenical answers. The name morphs or it doesn't. Lists of potential flotsam, lengthwise, zygote, cylindrical, and heavy with room. This predisposition, pleasure sense, a warm-washed wedding loop of mason jars, the regular rhythm, a tunic of orange flowers, in wake, a rhythmic, a suddening flood of maladaptive schemas. Call hell, call opus, call wreck upon all the shoulders, bring down sudden, up all the ringing rivers call, down call, parallel whelps, calling it down on shoulders, stem tide, and ready war love, point love, walking through tempest, distress selves, deck suppositions. We train ourselves roughly, a winter jest. Must you go? The temperature of gold remains constant. I write some poems about babies. So there may be some poems about babies and breast milk and other shit like that. Pleurisy of the mouth and petty seizures. I forgot myself somewhere. We've lost all cadence. Dear beauty, forgive me my horrible, horrible failings, most particularly my hands, and the inconsiderate lack of all the big fun they can't produce, how they implicate themselves. Forgive me the tracery latchings of my unhooked adolescence, dim scar tissue so entirely visible. I scar easily. I hope your skin is firmer stuff. How embarrassing I am. I ache for you already. Please forgive me. Preternatural ache, newt, fleshy shoulder. Wee gurgle poems about babies should include alternate endings, all the potential wrapped up in a net. Making milk. Alveoli and ductile equals immovable imprints of trees. Subterraneous fluvial dictates development. Predecessor, a beginning to latch. Tongue, raw, sand, slap, a turtle latch, barracuda baby. If we suppose my milk is worth drinking. Poison leaks in a perfect stretch, a neck arches towards. I should stop. Suppositions pleasure down ink in nap schedules. We believe in the beautiful quiet of an unlatched lobe, parasitic involvement of soft, lush hand open and close, small jaws, little teeth, cut milk, mastic impressions, and let down. So I did one poem where it was like an abecedarian, but I didn't really finish, and it's fine. A smudge of red ochre cracked, leaf after leaf as big as my head. Yellow, reds, orange, pinks, browns, underfoot they murmur. I step on them to hear the crackle. Smoke pervades, wood smoke, leaf smoke, barbecue smoke. The lights carry dried leaves in the shade, pressed botanicals. The smell of turkey and stuffing, cranberry stains around my dress. My cousin Elizabeth in the woods behind the dress, her hair to her hips, so I thought it was, brushing her hair, statue's mermaid. See, paddleboat in the lake's knees kicking. Straddling the windsurfing board and Pascal showing me conscious of my thighs. 10. Love the heft of the bar and the sail, leaning into the curve, cutting across the lake, the deck, losing my contact in the water, having to find new contact somehow. Some translation problem. What age? Adulthood. The uneven move of the deck, the dock that is, wobble back, the small craft hooked to the side, the tiny fishes in grey water, the fishes, the weeds we swim away from, the tickle of the fishes. Long ago my water wings, puffy brave upper arms, pop-eyed. Skip. The sky opening up, family beneath, walking over the lawn, white sheets of something fluttering and crinkling going across the black sky, obscuring the sky, fanning out, moving, unknown, fright, beauty, unknown, northern lights, unknown. Skip. H. Prologue. Fish, water, muck, water, doll, statue, eel, water, jellyfish, coral, fish, seaweed, water, salt, breasts. Premise. Fish girl, boy, other girl, pause, dumb girl, boy, pretty girl, dumb boy, doom girl, foam. Cliff notes. Shipwreck, lifesaver, bargain, tongue, dog bed, heart, weapon, ship, waves. Interior, her, gurgle. Interior, him. What? J. Hospital bed hovers, maintains 2 inches from the floor. Her mother's pained expression at her left side holds hand. She floats. The air contextualizes, turns to water, then to wine, then to water again. Her hair ebbs out around her, grows swirled and reflective. The bed lifts higher, and those at bedside rumple and round out and remain backward and forward and upside down in every and round a curlicue, a soft hollow sound in the ears, the taste of salt on her lips, her ocean. The bed hits the ground with a clatter of springs and metal, and water whooshes outward and out the door and floods the children's playroom entirely. 2 dehumidifiers and a fan. M. When she met him, she was a garden. When she met him, she was linen starched in white. When she met him, she was in a pale blue nightdress. When she met him, it was 9 in the morning. When she met him, she smelled of lemons and peach. When she met him, her ears were full of dust. She was full of dust. When she met him, it was dusk, and then dark, and then dusk again. Her limbs marionette and pivot at the joints. They come undone and swerve into themselves. He jaw clatters. N. A belly expands and contracts up and the blue circle, a table full of marbles. Oh, I write my way out of a paper bag. We surrender, evolve, surrender, evolve, surrender. P. Dread pitches itself black against the thin of her forearm, concaves a visible crease. A fleck of white turns whiter, the hairs attend. Flecks, flick, flicks, flick. Disaster politics make it possible for the impossible, and then it comes up by 10, and we're reckless with it, maybe. Q. She anticipates, dreads, waits, supposes, surrenders, evolves. Trench. I've forgotten how not to war. My lines draw blood. I sip trickle. I'll attest that I'll always drop down, fall down, sleep like owls, unravel my knits. Clambering over the engine, I can feel my legs chatter. Discuss, discuss, discuss. Repetitive strain injury flocks my satellite mind. I've forgotten peacetime treaties. Rearrange. Fight me. God damn you, fight me. I don't know how to be anything but a Valkyrie. Valkyr color. Fatalism. I can see through lead all the braided contortions of who's it's, what's it, each dim tucked presence and differentiated sarcomas. Satellite minds, the clutch of two sticks rubbed raw, Cassandra at the gate, flouts disarmament, a suffusion of pleasures in peacetime. Utterly dissolute blood sorbet, my pumpernickel heart croons. Sweetness. A dolce tiramisu cut into shreds, reshaped into threats. The trauma of being everywhere and nowhere all at once. Even when we are quite alone, we recognize the same influence. A man cannot prevent past impressions. A desolation of cupcakes and sherry. My ears melt into pads of cotton, wool fear a seed stitch picked off hems, icing sugar caulks break the dust, tile dusts, breast petals fall in drifts. River left wanting. Leave bite marks deep in shoulder, flecked fixed taxologies, mine eyes stuck for crossing. Cross paralytics, all armor, full flesh. You deck me, then cross the ways, guts, diagonal, decked from here to high heaven. Supposed something hybrid. Dull license of marital machines, cogwheel and sprocket dead center, bruise rents an armful of banned books, black severance, schema suckled, retrospective blur, bad floods, keep your hands off me. The problem of orchids. 1. The orchid has large, waxy white, star-like flowers with a pronounced lip and a foot-long spur that projects from the back of the flower. Since this white orchid had a strong, spicy fragrance at night, Darwin hypothesized that it must be pollinated by a nocturnal hawk moth with a proboscis, a tongue that extended to 12 inches. 2. Deviant stroke work, nipple-heavy gagged thresh work, needle-stuck hand-punched fret work, distressed countenance, skull work, affect, all sense of proportion. I can't say it, so I'll say it slant. 3. Muscles of the human body, neck, platysma, draws the corners of the mouth inferiorly and widens it as in expressions of sadness and fright. Also draws the skin of the neck superiorly when teeth are clenched. 4. In the orchid, the pollinia attached itself by a stalk or extension that is hygroscopic, meaning it bends when moisture levels or the levels of humidity change. Once dry, the pollinia is in the perfect position to attach to the stigma. 5. In a room, in a house, in a basement, something borrowed, something blue. See plus cans blossom, a copse of flowers cross-referenced, pepperskin, veil-invested blue blood, seed pearl sticky. Here's at it then. Fingers tighten in lulls, ears say mine, minion, miniature, minaret, tower, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. 6. How many of these questions do you answer yes? Are you afraid of your orchid? Do you sometimes feel like you have to walk on pins and needles to keep your orchid from getting angry? Has your orchid ever hit, slapped, choked, or pushed you? Has your orchid ever pulled your hair? Do you feel like you deserve to be punished? Does your orchid drive you crazy or make you feel like you're going crazy? Have you ever been told by your orchid that he or she would kill you? Has your orchid threatened or attempted to commit suicide? Have you been forced by your orchid to do something you didn't want to do? Do you feel emotionally numb? Have you ever left your orchid because of how you were treated, then later returned or allowed your orchid to return after promises it would all be different? 7. Impetuous temptation and Motel 6 stopovers are products of conception defy gravity. Mouth breeds insolent print, splendor of letters and brace of doves, bent counterclockwise, slept fluorescent with the patron saint of lost causes, divinity lessons. See bite work, craft work, crewel work, piecework, bit work, clockwork, brushwork, bodywork, cabinet work, firework, framework, meshwork, ironwork, legwork, stonework. 8. Lethality guide. Frequent, increase, severe, escalate, threat, escalate, frequent, intoxicate, increase, force, threat, impair, weapon, stress, violence, a new relationship for either. 9. As far as orchids are concerned, we have known for a long time that they are notoriously promiscuous. 10. Still, I am not your dove for safekeeping. Okay, that's it.